feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet. Hallelujah.
When the original Bioshock launched all the way back in 2007, it was by many seen as the first true next-gen title, with an amazing underwater setting in the place of Rapture and a story that set the tone for storytelling in games, which many people will still remember very well. It was a game unlike any others, but that was 6 years ago. Bioshock 2 launched 3 years after, and even though it was still a great game, many people agreed that it was not up to par with the first one. The main reason was that it was not made by the same studio. Bioshock Infinite though is the true sequel to the first Bioshock, made by Irrational Games, who made the first one such a success. With a lot of media attention and 2 unfortunate delays, the game has been building up hype all around the industry, but where the original Bioshock truly marked the start of a generation, will Infinite be able to end it with a bang? The story of Bioshock Infinite is the reason to play this game. Because it's such a big factor, I won't be spoiling anything to you, but of course it's fair to explain the basis of the plot. You play as Booker DeWitt, a former Pinkerton agent who gets sent to Columbia, a floating city all up in the sky. At the beginning of the game, nothing is really explained yet. No motives, no backstory, except for one goal by a mysterious figure: bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. This girl is Elizabeth, who is locked up in a big tower in Colombia, protected by the Songbird, a huge robotic bird that will do anything to keep her in there. With this concept, you will try to free her and return to New York to deliver Elizabeth to the person who gave you the task. But of course it doesn't exactly go as easy as it sounds. Again, without spoiling anything, I can't express in words how amazing the story is. From the mysterious beginning where you enter Colombia, to the dialogue with Elizabeth, to the ending, which I can say without doubt is the best video game ending I've ever seen. It's something unique that we don't see a lot these days and just deserves to be experienced by everyone who calls himself a gamer. Bioshock Infinite isn't exactly a technical masterpiece in terms of graphics. It's fair to say that it looks quite outdated. There's blurry textures and facial models and animations don't exactly look outstanding either. Still, it's the world that sells the game. The city of Colombia has been designed in such an amazing way that it looks astounding. Everywhere you walk you will see citizens talking to each other, doing activities together or just hanging around. It truly makes you feel like you're in a real living city. Then there's the style of the game and the incredible attention to detail. Colombia is a colorful world that makes it feel like a heaven you're walking in. Everywhere around you will see signs and posters that express the way people think in Colombia. It doesn't just look like heaven, but religion also has a huge impact on the world. Themes like racism will often be very present in the game, and I can only praise Irrational Games for taking such a bold step. So even though the game's graphics cannot exactly be compared with games like Battlefield or Uncharted, it's the style and attention to detail that still do that job incredibly well and completely make up for it. Now that we've had all the praising about the story and presentation of the game, let's talk a bit about its weakest point, the gameplay. Bioshock Infinite is a linear first-person shooter with a few simple elements. In your right hand you hold your weapon, which can vary from a pistol to a shotgun to a rifle. The other hand is used for so-called vigors. These are special powers that can help you in battles. It goes from fire-like grenades to making your enemies float in the air to even an army of crows that you can send at your targets. They're awesome to use, but I found myself forgetting that I could all the time, and the game didn't really make me want to experiment with different vigors. I personally found myself using the Murder of Crows vigor for the entire game just because I always liked it from the start. Then there's the skyline gameplay. You get a skyhook at the beginning of the game by which you can travel via skylines. This way you can easily go from one place to the other in a short amount of time while spectacularly killing enemies by landing on them. Though this is very fun, it wasn't as great as it was hyped up to be in all the trailers. Elizabeth will be going with you for almost the entire game, and the great thing about her is that you don't have to look after her. You'll never have to worry because she will always be with you. During combat, when you're low on ammo or health, she will throw kits at you to help you, which is great but also feels a bit repetitive. I constantly found myself rushing to enemies, killing them, and then once I was low in health I knew Elizabeth would throw me something to help me. But repetitiveness is also my main complaint about the game. From the start to the end the gameplay doesn't exactly change in any way, and I was rushing battle after battle just so I could continue and find out more about the amazing story. The gameplay also turned out to be not as spectacular as expected, since the demos and trailers from a year or two ago clearly showed off larger areas and bigger fights, which ultimately didn't make it into the game. I know it's probably the outdated hardware we can thank for that, but it still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Bioshock Infinite offers a campaign that will on average take you about 10 to 12 hours to complete, taking in mind that you don't explore a lot. Still, this is a game you will want to explore in, as the attention to detail is just of a level you don't usually see in video games today. If you do this, you will also find that you have a lot more fun playing the game, as you won't feel forced to do battle after battle just to find out more about the story. Once you complete the game though, the ending will make you think so differently about the game that you will really want to play through it another time, just to look at everything from a different perspective. Though multiplayer was announced for this game, it ultimately was cancelled, and in my eyes that's definitely not a bad thing. Infinite isn't the best in terms of shooter gameplay, which makes me realize that all effort that would have been put in the multiplayer would have been wasted, as you wouldn't have played it, and you can see that extra bit of effort that went into the single player has been worth it. All in all, Bioshock Infinite is an amazing game and worthy of the name Bioshock. When my expectations on the gameplay side weren't exactly reached, it outdid my expectations in terms of story. What it all comes down to though is that Irrational Games once again delivers a game that is so unlike anything we see nowadays that I just encourage you to buy it. In a time where everyone is trying to copy each other and games never try to innovate, Bioshock Infinite does something new and fresh, and that the developers should be praised for. We need more games like this, and the only way to make it happen is to support them even more. It will do us all a favor, and we will all get to experience things that we've never experienced before. Bioshock Infinite gets an 8.5 out of 10.